Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
It's week one. I couldn't be better. We've got a game coming up, fellas. It's a fun time.
Yeah, we're kind of shot out of a
You
cannon
sound like you
over
got
at
the
2.
juice going.
Yeah, he's
Got some
he's
juice.
pumped up. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful way to be.
Always juiced on a Wednesday to be with you guys. We get the stage set, and then everybody else is just in charge of making sure the show's good.
So help us out with the whole left tackle thing. I mean, I did not expect that they'd have a parade or they'd give a ceremonial key to the city or something. But boy, that was lukewarm. It was it was about as backhanded as a guy has ever won a job. It was just kind of like, well, there're going to be mistakes, and he doesn't do a lot of things right, but he's our guy. No one could overtake him. Help.
Yeah, I mean, it's been lukewarm for weeks now, and I think maybe what's encouraging about how lukewarm it is it's a reminder of Ben Johnson's style and Ben Johnson's unwillingness to settle for good enough, right? Like, this is clearly a coach that wants more from whoever his starting left tackle is going to be, and he's not getting it right now, and he doesn't have a lot of answers on how to get it, and so hence the lukewarm tone to things. I think when you watched Braxton play throughout training camp, you saw a guy who at times showed glimpses of his old self, and then at times showed some inconsistency that sometimes was related to just the regaining the power and the strength and the confidence in the leg and the ankle that he had surgically repaired. And other times it was just kind of the mental hurdle of trying to remember who you were as a left tackle before the injury. And so this is not an ease-in game for Braxton Jones. He's going to have his hands full with a Brian Flores-led defense that's going to challenge him from a lot of different directions. The Bears obviously have to be smart and account for whatever help that they need to give Braxton on the left side. And I think what you've heard from Ben here in recent weeks is, look, like, this is going to be an ongoing evaluation. And with the early bye coming in week 5, there might be an opportunity to totally reevaluate this when they get there. But for now, they're going to need the best of Braxton for at least Monday night and probably the first 4 games.
Dan, excellent story on the Jaylen Johnson situation in the Athletic this morning. I thought you painted an accurate picture of what happened yesterday and what you heard. Just curious, based on all of that, how confident are you that Jaylen Johnson will have an impact on Monday night's game? And if he can't, where is the Bears' confidence level in Nahshon Wright?
Right. And so there's 2 questions there. And it's just like with Jaylen, you guys know what training camp is about, right? There's a grind to it that's about callousing players. It's about conditioning players. It's about getting yourself ready to play real life football on a big stage at full speed with a lot of contact. And Jaylen hasn't gone through any of that. He hasn't really fully practiced with the team since June. And so it's hard for me to imagine that he would be ready for a full workload on Monday night in his first game back against the Vikings. There's people asking him about whether he's going to travel with Justin Jefferson. I mean, there's no way Dennis Allen can be thinking about that with a player he hasn't really worked with yet and really hasn't watched practice. And so you've got to figure out, is Jaylen available? If so, what's the snap limit that we want to put him on? And to your second question, David, you've got Nahshon Wright, a guy who has been filling in Jaylen's absence since the spring and over the summer and then through training camp, and had a little bit of a rough night in Kansas City a couple weeks ago, but that wasn't really married up with inconsistencies in camp. And so you're trying to figure out which is the player that we believe in more, the one who's been very, very consistent as we've watched him grow and develop over the last 3 months, or the guy who had a couple really big mistakes against the Chiefs with 2 penalties on one play and then a play one drive later where he gives up a long completion to Tyquan Thornton. And so, look, like, Nahshon Wright, the interesting little perk in his story is last year he was traded to the Vikings during training camp. He was cut. He was moved to their practice squad, and he spent most of last year playing scout team and covering Justin Jefferson. And so he has this experience going back and forth with one of the best receivers in the league. And so it won't be an eye-opener for him if he's put in that role on Monday night. And now it's just his opportunity to kind of step up and show this coaching staff what he's made of.
Dan, do you have any concern that there is a leadership problem with the Bears, or is it the opposite after seeing the captains that were selected?
We never know. We never know what leadership is going to look like until, the boat gets into really stormy seas. And last year that didn't really occur until we got back from the bye in London. And I guess there was some signs early on that there was just a little bit of shakiness on what they wanted from the coaching staff and weren't getting. But I think it's going to take some turbulence before we know how strong this leadership is. What I think we do know, and we have confirmed, 3 and 4 times now over the last 6.5 months, is Ben Johnson is the leader of this football team, and his intensity and his ability to set a tone is really what is going to be the engine of everything that the Bears do from a direction standpoint. The players are going to have an open back and forth, and that's where those captains come into play. And the 5 they picked, I'm good with all 5 of those selections,
right?
With what they've got going. But Ben's really going to be your tone setter, and he has been. And I think what's really been impressive is his ability to not only set that tone, but to resonate across all 3 phases. A lot of times, these offensive coaches can come in and they can connect with their offense, but the defense is just kind of along for the ride. It's been quite the opposite with Ben, and his ability to kind of lock in with that defense as well, I think is something that maybe we haven't talked about enough yet.
A lot of talk yesterday about Jaylon Johnson, about the left tackle and the captains, but did we learn anything more about who will be the complement to DeAndre Swift at running back?
We got to get eyes on it. Yesterday was a practice that they classified as a walkthrough, and so we were not allowed to be out there. Today we will get eyes on their first official practice of week 1, and participation is key here. I don't think we're going to get the injury report until late Thursday. And so we're going to have to just get out there in that very short 15-minute period and see who's out there and moving around. It's a good question, David. We've talked about DJ Moore being experimented in the backfield a little bit and some of the creativity that they're going to use to try to help DeAndre Swift. I'm gearing up for a big year from DeAndre Swift just based on his union with both Ben and Eric Bieniemy, 2 guys who think that they can bring the best out of him. And we know what Ben's commitment to the running game is. And so I think DeAndre Swift is positioned to have a very almost eye-opening bounce back year. And it should start Monday night in a game where you're going to need to establish that running game first and foremost.
We talked a little bit about the poll that the Athletic did in terms of determining the best play callers in the NFL. And you couldn't help but kind of have a chuckle.
It's stunning
that it's McVay, Shanahan, Johnson, Reed.
Oh yeah.
Like what? Wait a minute. Like
right. You've got him, right?
Yeah.
You got one.
Yeah. But I mean,
it's like a Chicago election, Dan.
Like Andy Reid, like what has he ever done?
But hey, go look. Not only in the stats from last year where the Lions scored more points than anyone else in the league and had the most yards in the NFC, and just look at the film and what Ben's put out and the way that he is the aggressor in so many games and understands how to break down an opponent and attack them where they don't want to be attacked. And so that's going to be part of the puzzle piecing process here in the coming weeks as he tries to set Caleb up for success is taking each individual week, figuring out what the Bears can do well, and then just getting after it accordingly. But look, that's the coolest thing about Ben Johnson's arrival is that he's got credibility, and the credibility is on the tape. He's got a couple years now of a very explosive offense. By the way, a very explosive offense that's 4-0 against Brian Flores the last 2 seasons, and has scored at least 30 points and put up at least 380 yards in all of those games against the Vikings. And so that should make you feel better about his ability to understand what's coming at him Monday night, albeit with a whole different set of personnel.
Do you put stock in that? A lot of stock in that? Because really? Because
not a lot, but I mean, if you're selling that stock,
where's the receiving core? Where's the quarterback that you trust? The dual threat at running back. I mean, I get it. I'm not taking anything away from Ben Johnson's ability to call plays, but to say he's 4-0, I think it diminishes the contributions of a talented receiving core, running game, and offensive line.
Hey, what did you do this offseason? You reinforced the interior of your offensive line. You signed a 4-time All-Pro and 4-time Super Bowl champ in Joe Thuney. You've got Drew Dahlman, one of the better centers in the league, snapping the ball to Caleb Williams. You've got weapons galore with DJ Rome, Zacchaeus, Loveland, Komet. You've got plenty to work with.
You got the juice, Dan.
The offensive line may not be as strong. And that's where Ben and the staff are going to have to figure out, okay, where are our deficiencies and how do we mask those going up against an opponent that can find those. But I mean, you go back to those 2 games last year against Minnesota that the Lions played, and they had an unwillingness to kind of sit back and wait to see what was going to be punched at them. They were trying to throw the first punch. And so I think Ben would like to stay in that posture on Monday night. And look, like we all know Tuesday morning, the conversation is going to shift in one direction or the other. And so now it's all about this team just being ready for that moment on Monday Night Football and trying to figure out how they can put themselves in a position to win.
And part of that is putting everyone on the team in the best position to succeed. What does that look like specifically for Caleb Williams?
It's going to look on Monday like it's supposed to look all season, or it should look on Monday like it's supposed to look all season, which is getting a young quarterback to understand that they don't need him to be Superman all the time, that this offense is designed to get the ball to playmakers in space and let them do the rest for most of every football game. And then when it gets down to the 2-minute situation, where Caleb has a very well-documented history of being very good in the 2-minute situation at the end of halves and at the end of games with the game on the line, you turn him loose. When there's some off-script moments for him to go make a big play, go ahead and make 2 or 3 of those per game. But overall, it's the consistency and the grind of understanding how to get 4 yards out of this play, 6 yards out of this play, 3 yards out of this play, and being aware of how the other team is trying to take you out of that. And so I think that's the big step for Caleb, particularly in the short term of 2025, is just being very, very steady and very, very consistent with getting rid of the negative plays, the sacks. Even Ben even considers incompletions a negative play. And so getting him in that mindset of just, take the small first, and then we'll work on getting the big later, is going to be a very important thing for Caleb to get his season started off on the right foot.
Excellent stuff, Dan. Thanks for all the juice.
Yeah, no, that
you got it. The juice will be present all week, fellas.
I just want to say what you just said there is really the key to this season.
It is the key to the season.
To the season, and then maybe his career. Because as much as we saw some of those, special plays, we also saw some bad plays. He's got to somehow erase the negative or reduce the bad plays and concentrate on exactly what you said. Distributing the ball, letting playmakers make plays, and then taking over when
not trying to do too much.
Yes, that's a big part of it.
I recall, fellas, one time early in my career watching a full tape of Brady when the Patriots were on the schedule, and it was like he had 32 completions in the game, and like 26 of them were within 4 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right, and it was this dominant performance where the Patriots won, and you're like, oh, that's what surgery looks like in the NFL, right? And that's what you need your quarterback to be for most of the time. And then those special playmaking gifts that are in there for Caleb have to come out when it matters. But that surgery is, I think you guys are right. That's the key to the whole season.
Great stuff, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
All right, fellas, talk soon.
That is Dan Wiederer. That's really interesting.
It is. Let's continue to talk about that for a second, because when we come back, I think that there's a misconception about what you just said and what I agreed with, because I saw it yesterday and got some feedback. We're not talking about Caleb Williams reducing his talent as a game manager only.
No.
But you have to start somewhere.
No, you don't want to turn him into a game manager, but you do need to reduce the number of bad plays and take advantage of this guy as a play caller.